husband is dying of kidney failure and I've had the best news ever.
It's tea time, so grab your tea, grab your wine, your coffee, whatever you want to drink, because it's a story time, okay? This lady posted, she was excited. My husband having a kidney failure, and she was happy. And she was like, the sons and or the children that I think he had, they are not even his children after doing DNA. She was so excited in the video, and we're like, maybe it's kids, maybe she's joking. And she was like, no, she's not joking. And she started giving us a little bit of her story. Let me roll this clip for you all to watch the end. And I'll be back to share my thoughts at the end of all the videos.
His sons his sons have taken a test to see if they're a match for Jeremy's kidneys, and they're not, which is amazing. But the reason they're not is because Jeremy's not actually their real dad. Sorry, I'm no stranger to admit that I don't like my husband's children, so this is like the best news ever. My husband doesn't know yet, but I'm obviously going to go and tell him because I just love... He doesn't need to know, but this might finally kill him off. He might have a heart attack and die this time. For anyone that doesn't know, my husband's worth 30 million, so it's the money. It's none of yours now, Hugo, is it? Obviously, he doesn't have a kidney now, so he's definitely going to die, but like... This is the best news I've ever had in my life. His sons... His sons have taken a test to see if they're a match for Jeremy's kidneys, and they're not, which is amazing. But the reason they're not is because Jeremy's not actually their real dad. Sorry, I'm no stranger to admit that I don't like my husband's children, so this is like the best news ever. My husband doesn't know yet, but I'm obviously going to go and tell him because I just love... He doesn't need to know, but this might finally kill him off. He might have a heart attack and die this time. For anyone that doesn't know, my husband's worth 30 million, so it's the money. It's none of yours now, Hugo, is it? Obviously, he doesn't have a kidney now, so he's definitely going to die, but like... This is the best news I've ever had in my life. I married my uncle, and I know that might sound crazy, but he was my auntie's husband. He is 37 years older than me. Met me for the first time when I was a week old. Was married to my auntie Jenny at the time. So she had twin boys with my uncle Jeremy, and they are called Hugo and Jamie. They are my cousins. They're my first cousins because Jenny was my dad's sister. I did date Jeremy's son Hugo when we were like 18. It was a drunk fling. Genuinely the worst minute of my life. Fast forward a few years, I realised I was in love with my uncle, told him I was in love with him, and he left his wife for me. Now, since I've been with Jeremy, who is now like 74, my auntie Jenny and her sons and daughter have been giving me nothing but abuse. They slag me off online, they're just awful, and to the point where my auntie Jenny beat me up and her daughter Hermione beat me up as well. They're just not nice people. Also, me and Hugo did have an affair behind his dad's back. Hugo is constantly trying to get his claws into my husband's money, but it is my money, not his, because I'm his wife. And when we first started dating, for a long time, I wouldn't let Jeremy speak to his kids. For a few years, actually, he had nothing to do with his children. And I stand by that decision because look at what they're doing now. They're trying to like destroy my life and take my money away from me. And they are getting none of the inheritance. The fact now that it has turned out that my Uncle Jeremy is not even... Jeremy is not even Hugo or Jamie's dad, has made my year. It's made my day because now they're not entitled to anything. Here is a picture of me and my husband, who is also my uncle, on our wedding day. My husband is 74 now. It's a picture of me and my husband when we first met. There I am, just a week old, and then there's my husband, who was my uncle at the time. He's 37. He's my uncle because he was married to my auntie Jenny. This is a very younger version of my husband. A very young picture of us. This was not long after I told him I was in love with him, and he did leave my auntie Jenny for me. This is us fresh in our relationship. There's a picture of me and my stepson Hugo, who is also my first cousin, and this is around the time when we had our second affair behind my husband's back. There's not many pictures of us, to be honest, because we've hated each other for a long, long time. He's trying to get his claws into my inheritance, which is not his, and I've made sure my husband has cut him and his horrible siblings out of the will. Here is the most recent picture of me and my husband. I did pick him up from his care home to take him out for the day. But unfortunately, he did smell like a dirty hamster cage, so I did have to keep the visit brief. He's quite handsome. He does look a bit like Bruce Willis, doesn't he? No, I would never date younger than me, mainly because I like old men with lots of money. And the reason I like old men with money as opposed to young men with money is that when they're old, they die quicker and the money's mine quicker. The only annoying thing about old men is that they get that like old people smell when they get to a certain age, and like they smell like a dirty hamster cage, you know, like a bit like cabbage. It's not a nice smell, but some things I will tolerate for a little bit if I know I'm getting some money at the end of it. To be fair, my husband's like in his 70s and I had to put him in a care home because I have got very like high sensory issues and I couldn't cope with the smell of him. So I did put him into a care home, even though there was nothing really wrong with him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do have affairs with younger men, but that is all that it will ever be, just an affair, because men without money, it means nothing to me. I just don't think they're worth anything. I have just broken the news to my husband that his children aren't actually his. He did not take it very well. He is dying of kidney failure, is in hospital, and unfortunately they did have to perform CPR on my husband. Unfortunately, I did have to rush off because I did have a lash appointment and I couldn't stay. But I'm sure he'll be fine. He's had a few heart attacks before. The last time I went to get my lashes done, like, I did shit myself and I had to leave. So I did have to go and get my lash appointment. It was very important. I know people are going to judge me for leaving my husband when he's having a heart attack. But, like, that's not really my problem. If you had a lash appointment booked for 2 weeks in a row and you kept having to cancel, you would not cancel again, no matter what the situation. What I'm hoping, so the reason I told him was not because, like I really care or anything. It's just I do need him to cut his children out of his inheritance, his money, so I can get it all for myself. They're children from his ex-wife as well. They're not my children. So I'm hoping he doesn't die before he signs the will. Fingers crossed.
It sounds so unreal. I'm kind of like not believing this story. I feel like it's made up. I feel like she's doing it for videos. But then another thing is telling me things like this happen. But then if things like this happen, are you going to be bold enough to come out and say it? What do you think? Do you think these stories are made up or she's just doing it for cloud chasing? Or it's real? Because it's sounding like it's real and then it's sounding like it's a lie and then it's sounding like it's a made up. Like I'm waiting for her to post a video and say, oh my god, I was just lying, I was just joking, that was my dad, he's not dying. Your uncle, you're married to your uncle, you told him you're in love with him and he left your aunt for you, and now your cousins and your stepson. I can't. What is your take on this video? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Check out Maria David. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you get notified once I upload another interesting video like this one. And of course, I'll see you in my next video.